When was the last time you looked at a photo of your younger self and it left you feeling strange? Now, I don't mean just the warm, fuzzy nostalgia. I mean a confusing, heavy mix of pride and grief. So, you look at the picture, you look at her eyes, the innocence, the desire to explore, the fire. And then you wonder, wait, I know her. I remember exactly how she felt about the world. But when did I stop being her? I've been asking myself that question all week. And I found this picture while I was decluttering and I couldn't put it down. And I sat on the floor with boxes around me and I was just staring at this face. Look at her. It's so cute. I was staring at this face, and because the woman I am today, between the years 2000 and 2024, I got really good at surviving. I got really good at being practical, and I got really good at managing risk. But looking at this little girl, she did not care about managing risk. She only cared about taking it. She didn't care about being practical. She didn't care about, you know, things being impossible. So the real question for me is it when I changed? The real question is who silenced her? Hey everyone, welcome to the very first video of this daily journey. My name is Webley, and I am sharing this because I have a feeling that I'm not the only one. And maybe you have a version of yourself you've locked away because she was too much or too loud. So today for day one, I want to answer that question for myself. Who silenced her? And more importantly, can I get her back? So to understand the silence, you have to understand the noise that I used to make, okay? I look at this face and I see a girl who was absolutely unstoppable. I was a free spirit. And in a way, that terrified the adults around me. You know, for one, I wasn't inside playing with dolls. I didn't I didn't really have a lot of interest in that. What I loved to do, I was up on the roof, literally. I remember climbing up with the boys to fly kites. Now, I want you to picture the scene, the wind hitting my face, the feeling of the rough roof tiles. It wasn't tiles, it was more like cement, under my feet. In Haiti, I remember looking down at the neighborhood, seeing the tops of the trees, seeing the adults, looking so small down there. Most kids are taught that the sky is the limit. But to that little girl standing on the roof, the sky wasn't the limit. It was the foundation. That is where I started. And that is how hopeful I was. I was also so fiercely and irrationally loyal because I remember this vivid moment of getting into a physical fight with a boy at my brother's school, my younger brother's school. This boy was bullying my little brother, and something in me just snapped. And we went to pick him up from school, and the boy would follow him and bully him on his way to our car. And I remember the heat rising in my chest. I didn't care that this boy was bigger than me. I didn't care about the rules that says girls don't fight. So the only rule that mattered to me was you don't mess with my brother, okay? So I stood my ground. I fought the boy, and I took the hit, and I was fearless. Needless to say that he never bullied my brother after that. And then There was my curiosity. I wasn't just reading fairy tales. I wasn't interested in that really. I was the girl visiting the library at school and checking out books that I had absolutely no business reading. I remember picking up books about Sigmund Freud. Oh my God. Imagine a little girl with pigtails trying to decode psychology, you know? I remember the smell of that library, the old paper, the dust, the quiet. It was my favorite pastime because it felt like a portal, outside the library. I didn't feel seen, but inside I had all the answers. I believe that if I just kept reading, if I just kept looking, everything was possible. So I was trying also new recipes every week, convincing my mom to give me money for ingredients that might turn into a disaster. But oh, God bless my mom. So she went along with all my craziness. But I didn't care if it was a disaster. I just wanted to make something. I was a force. But now that I think of it, how does a fire like that get put out? You know, it doesn't happen overnight. And it's not one big villain who comes and steals your voice, right? I The more I thought about it, I realized that it happens in layers. It happens in whispers. So looking back, I can identify three specific silencers that slowly quieted that girl on the roof. The first silencer was comparison. It wasn't the kind of comparison where I felt less than. It was almost worse. I was used as the weapon against my siblings. I remember hearing the adults tell my sisters, why can't you be like Webley? Look at her grades. Look at how she studies. Because I was a straight A student, because it came naturally for me. I was naturally curious and naturally competitive. And I remember the look on my sister's face, all of a sudden I was the bad guy because I was looked at as being the standard, or the golden child. And that wasn't a prize. It was isolating for me. And it made me feel like my only value was what I produced. It created this distance between me and my sisters. And I couldn't just be their sisters. I had to be the example. And when you're the example, you're not allowed to make mistakes. You're not allowed to be messy. You have to be perfect. Imperfection silences you. Oof, the second silencer was gender. Oh my goodness. The minute I came down from that roof, flying kites with the boys, the scolding started. Get down. Girls don't do that. That's for boys. Oh, I hated it. I hated hearing that my curiosity was wrong simply because of my anatomy. I remember feeling this confusion like, why does why does my body dictate my altitude? Why does being a girl mean I have to stay underground? It makes you start editing yourself. So I started editing yourself. I started editing myself. I started shrinking to fit the box that they built for me. But honestly, the third and hardest silencer was being invisible for my father. My dad was a man of his time. He was stuck in a mindset where legacy, future, and pride belongs to the sons, the boys, the men. I became the overachiever. I was getting the grades, I was doing the work. And that was basically me screaming my actions, screaming, look at me, look at what I can do. He never really saw that. It felt like he was almost ready, waiting for me to fail, not because he hated me, but because the ambition that I have, it didn't fit the role that he had for me. He expected the boys to lead and the girls to wait, just be there and, get married. it's heavy and it's suffocating silence when you realize that the people you want to impress the most, they aren't watching. But looking at this photo this week, here I am again, reminded me of something crucial. It also reminded me that they did not win, because that fire, it didn't die. And I feel like the fire went dormant, because I remember in 1997 when I moved to the United States, I was young and I made a decision that absolutely terrified everyone in my family. I called my parents and I said, guys, I'm not coming back. Everyone, every single one in my family, everyone told me, Webley, you're not going to make it. You're not going to survive alone. And in that moment, I tapped back into the girl, that little girl on the roof. I tapped back into the girl who fought the bully for my brother. And I said, watch me. I realized early on that I am a risk taker. I am the girl who figures it out. But somewhere along the way, between the responsibilities of adulthood and the noise of the world, I forgot about her. I forgot about that little girl, because I spent too much time also looking for heroes on the outside, you know? But I didn't realize that the hero that I was looking for was sitting right here in this picture the whole time. So I'm starting this 100-day journey to reintroduce myself to myself, because I miss her. And I think it's time to let her back on the roof. So I'm just going to show up for her in 2026. And I'll see you tomorrow.